The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast. John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
So whose idea was this, Ken Flo, to get on a red eye right after dropping the headset down and hit this Anik and Florian podcast at 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, November 8, 2020. It's episode 275 of the Anik and Florian podcast. Quickest turn I've ever made. I literally got off the air 10 hours ago. I am back in South Florida where it is raining, and it's good to see your Anik and Florian podcast t-shirt and your smiling face. Good day to you from South Carolina, kid. What's going on down there?
You know, I'm doing well. I would like to remind you that it was actually your idea, you freaking savage.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
so I can't believe you're here. You look great. It looks like you're rested. Did you sleep on the plane at all and anything?
I did.
Okay,
I slept for about 3.5 hours on the plane, so I feel well enough to do the show today, and we have a ton to get into as usual. It is amazing. This sport really is the gift that keeps on giving. And I'm not saying if this was an NFL podcast that we wouldn't have things to talk about every week, but it's like the show fucking does itself, you know? I mean,
Right.
It really does itself in a lot of respects if you do want to focus on fighting and focus on these great mixed martial arts athletes, and that is what we try to do. So let's get to one of them. Glover Teixeira. I mean, this was the only Brazil-related T-shirt I had today. It says Sagano. I don't know what to tell you. But Glover fucking Teixeira. Sorry for the foul language right off the top, but 5 straight wins, 41 years old. Our listeners certainly know that by now. But again, we thought the version against Anthony Smith was maybe the best version to date. And he has now put training camps on top of each other. This fight was delayed twice, had to deal with adversity. He just might be the best light heavyweight in the world right now. I'm not even joking. I really think that he can win a title right now at 41, 42 years old.
You know, as he walked out, physically you could see it. Mentally you could see it. He was focused. He looked to be in tremendous shape. He was a lot leaner as he was in his last fight. And I think he definitely is taking things way more serious. That is clear.
Yeah.
He's looking sharper than ever. I think that he has made improvements with his jiu-jitsu as well.
Yes.
That really was obviously the clear advantage that he had over Thiago Santos. And I think he's just making better decisions overall. And man, is he tough. And to see him do all of these things at 41 years old, when the lights are brightest, is so impressive and so inspiring. And again, it is proof. We are not supposed to get worse as we get older as a fighter, as far as skill-wise.
Right.
We are supposed to get better. And Glover's been around for a hell of a long time. He was one of Chuck Liddell's main sparring partners.
Yeah.
And to see him do this at this point is just amazing.
He fought at WEC 3, right? And then
Yeah.
obviously it took him a while to get to the UFC, visa issues and otherwise. But
Crazy.
he does have this habit of getting, excuse me, tagged early on, right? The first thing he said to me in our post-fight interview was, I think I might have a broken bone in my face. Thiago Santos hits hard. And we will get to Santos, who is another guy who I think can rebuild and be a future champion. But this is not ideal, right? I mean, he still got the job done, but not ideal to be sort of staring at that type of adversity and having to consistently walk through that, even against guys like Iwan Kutelaba, you know?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I think that, you know, he typically has been a slow starter. And I think once he gets into his groove and wakes up, he's a very difficult man to stop. And he did a great job of adjusting, of hanging in there. And again, late as well in the third round when he
Right.
got tagged. So just a brilliant performance overall. And one of the more impressive performances that I've seen out of Glover Teixeira.
So for Thiago Santos, I thought at times he did well defensively. I'm certainly going to ask you and not give a bunch of my opinion here, but he did tell us in his fighter meeting that he used to hate jiu-jitsu, and he has elevated to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt now, you know, training in the gi pretty consistently and really has found a newfound love for it. But one of the first things they teach you is hip escapes, and he was certainly not trying to do that with any regularity. I mean, talk to me.
Absolutely, man. As I was watching this fight, it's almost like, you know, if I put you in a room with 2 doors, right? And I shut one of those doors and I'm sitting there and I'm going to kill you. And you have the choice. You have the choice of either staying there, right, and letting me kill you, or at least letting me stab you or whatever, or you get the hell out of the door. There's another door over there, man. And he was not utilizing it. He did not get the hell out of there. He was literally just planting his back on the canvas and just basically signed this invisible agreement that said, I'm in my guard now. You took me down. I'm just going to stay here, I guess. He didn't hip escape. He didn't try to get an underhook and move himself positionally to elevate himself, get back to his knees.
Right.
I was just mystified by the whole thing. Now, he is coming off a terrible injury. I remember before I fought Sean Chirk, I really wasn't able to do a whole lot of wrestling because I had hurt my back and I was off and on with my training camp and things like that. And I felt like that kind of suffered a little bit. So maybe it's him not being able to wrestle as much or grapple as much. But my goodness, if you face a guy like Glover Teixeira and you are considered, right, Thiago Santos is considered one of the most devastating knockout artists in the division. Yeah. What do you think Glover's going to do? He's going to try to take you down. Why aren't you working on those aspects to get back to his feet? And again, it may have been a physical thing or an injury thing, but man, he really has to do a massive overhaul with his grappling. And that's where he lost that fight. And then at the end, engaging in the grappling with Glover Teixeira. Right. And if I could just go a little bit longer, Please. John, sorry to go so long, but with Glover, you see a drastic difference, right? Glover was in the exact same position that Thiago Santos was. If you look at Thiago Santos throughout most of those first two rounds, he was in a half guard position, just kind of laying there, eating punches, just trying to get back to guard, and that's it. Glover Teixeira was in half guard, and maybe after about a minute or so, he got the underhook, he got back to his feet, actually turned into a single leg and turned into a sweep or a takedown and put Thiago on his back. Thiago was not doing that. That's the difference in really understanding a grappling situation and not.
I love it. So for Teixeira, you talk about the technical improvements and how the jiu-jitsu technique is improving. I mean, everything he's throwing on the ground is with bad intentions, trying to get you out of there. But isn't a lot of his success, or doesn't it have to be rooted in supreme conditioning? Because he's not stalling at all. He's not wasting any time. I really do think that that's a big part of his recent success. I mean, I don't want to shortchange the jiu-jitsu improvements. I mean, the striking defense left a little bit to be desired a little bit early on, of course, and in round 3. But I don't know, man. I just feel like he's in as good a shape as anybody at 205 pounds and is built for 5 rounds.
John, I think you absolutely cannot ignore that fact. I think that when you are well conditioned, it's not just, it doesn't just improve your conditioning. That's what people need to understand, is that it kind of spreads out into other areas of the game. First of all, the mental aspect of the game. When you know you can go a hard 5 rounds, that's going to do wonders for the rest of your mental game, because you're going to go, you know what, I can unleash hell on this guy and be fine. And I think that's what allows Glover to really let it rip now. Anytime you're hesitant or you're worried about getting tired, it shuts down the rest of your game. So I absolutely think you're right.
All right, so as we spin it forward, the light heavyweight champion, of course, is Jan Blachowicz. March is when he wants to fight, and he's going to be able to call that shot, right? His wife or his fiance is having a baby in December. He's going to fight in March and defend the title. If you read into what Blachowicz said on social media, he doesn't necessarily think that Adesanya wants to wait until March. He has kept a furious schedule, and there are some things going on. Adesanya is still in Las Vegas. I saw Brad Riddell in the gym, and he said he was going to be forced to not go home for another 5 weeks. So there's a lot of things going on with some of these city kickboxing guys, and I don't know if that applies to Adesanya or not, but I don't know if Izzy wants to wait, right? But Glover Teixeira certainly is the number 1 light heavyweight contender right now, having finished the previous number 1 contender, Thiago Santos. No denying Izzy if he wants that fight. Blachowicz, the second biggest fight he can get to John Jones, I think, is Adesanya. But certainly Glover Teixeira, in my mind, with 5 straight wins. And this one on the back end has done enough to have earned a title shot. I trust I'm not going to get a strong argument against from you on that.
No, I'm not going to give you a counter argument to that. You look at Glover and just his whole history and everything he's done up to this point, and you combine that with his recent success, the guy is absolutely deserving of that.
All right, so last time Glover Teixeira fought for the belt was 2014, April. We'll see if he gets the title fight, but I thought he asked for it in the post-fight interview in sort of a genuine, nice way, and went about it the right way, and Dana White said he's paying attention, so we shall see. All right, co-main event. Not in the fight of the year conversation necessarily, Ken Flo, but it's Andrei Arlovski, who has now won 3 of his last 4. He wins by unanimous decision over Tanner the Bulldozer Boser. And I'm not paid to judge. I'm paid to commentate. I'm certainly happy for Andre. I guess it depends what you prefer a lot of times, right? If it's volume or those big moments. I thought Arlovsky had more big moments, Ken Flo. But Tanner Boser, in my mind, missed an opportunity here. What'd you think of the co-main?
Yeah, I think I would agree with all those things. I think Arlovsky and what he's done with his career is very similar to what Glover Teixeira has done in a lot of ways. Perhaps not the same level of competition as a Glover Teixeira, but the fact that he has been a lot smarter in his approach, a lot cleaner with his defense, I think says a lot about the guys that are training him over at ATT, right? And I think that he's made some good adjustments. However, I'm not sure he won that fight. I thought that Boser was busier. Traditionally, judges haven't put a lot of weight on leg kicks. You could see that there was serious damage in Arlovsky's lead left leg for a couple reasons. Not only the bruising that was there, but also Arlovsky simply wasn't moving the same. And if you don't see those two things, you're not watching the fight. And I feel like Boser was staying busy with the kicks, a little bit busier, but both these guys really had so much respect for the other's power that we didn't see a lot of good exchanges. But if we're looking at the boxing aspects alone, I think you're accurate in saying that Arlovsky had the bigger moments. I think there was a couple right hands that he landed, and then that spinning back fist that was a little bit more apparent on Boser's face that he was hurt, and that didn't help Boser's cause.
Still incredible on the Arlovsky side. It really is when you think about how long ago people buried him because he was maybe putting himself in harm's way too often and the chin was compromised, and there was a really bad stretch there where he lost several fights in a row, and look at him now, right? And that show money's pretty good, if I'm not mistaken. That show money for Andrei Arlovsky is pretty good. All right. Raoni Barcelos and Khalid Taha in the no-doubter for fight of the night. Barcelos 30-27 times 3. And with respect to Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling, a lot of fans were tweeting at me saying, you know, that might be the best bantamweight in the world right now. I mean, he's 16-1. That's a top 5 bantamweight talent. I know this division's loaded, but don't tell me there are a bunch more bantamweights on the planet better than that fucking guy, because I don't want to hear it.
I tell you what, I think that's a guy who really didn't give a shit about who was in front of him at that point. I mean, he was moving forward. He was throwing combinations and completely disrespecting Taha throughout that fight. It almost looked like, you know, sometimes you get into certain gyms and you see the kind of the alpha dogs and the guys that are kind of underneath there. That's what it looked like. It looked like a sparring match where the guy is just really just handling business out there. Barcelos is legit. But we can't talk enough about the toughness of Taha. Dude. That's a guy that would not go away, man. I mean, how many guys would have hung in there and taken that amount of damage? I think 2 people would have left by the time the first round was over. I mean, Taha is tough as nails, but Barcelos really put on a show of aggression, speed, activity, variety. He was firing on all cylinders, dude.
I mean, just depends what you like, but he can do it all. And real quickly to set up his credentials as we did on broadcast, right? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, 5-time Brazilian national wrestling champ who went on to represent the Brazilian national team. And that says nothing of his striking, which looks world-class to my amateur eyes, right? So
absolutely. He reminded me of a younger Jose Aldo.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was escaping me on broadcast. And sometimes I am hesitant to sort of take a leap like that, you know? But yeah, dude, I mean, what a beast, man. And I think he's certainly going to get that, you know, top 10 fight that he is looking for. Oftentimes it's just about keeping an active schedule, you know, for one reason or another. He hasn't been all that active this year. But an incredible performance for Barcelos. If you don't have anything else on him, I'll move on to a guy who has been nothing if not active, Giga Chikadze. How about these Georgians? Right? I mean, Merab and there's some bigger names that are escaping me right now, and Liana Jojua, but Giga Chikadze is 5-0 in the UFC, and this was a hard weight cut for him, Ken Flo. You know, he fought in October. He was thinking he was going to fight at 55, maybe against Drew Dober or a top 10 lightweight on short notice. Then he was hoping to maybe get a catchweight opportunity at 50, but had to cut to 45 to make this fight happen. Say what you want about the opposition here, Jamie Simmons, right? But Chikadze comes in right on the number 145. He felt like kind of had 10 minutes to get a finish. Otherwise, he was going to gas, and he needed 3 minutes and 51 seconds.
John, I had trained with Giga about, I guess, maybe 5-6 years ago. And I remember scratching my head, and I probably scratch my head every single time I see that he weighs in at 145 pounds. I look at the guy and I'm trying to do the math and I'm trying to calculate it. I have no idea how the hell the dude makes 145 pounds. But this is a guy that is very strong. He's really doing a great job of bringing in those kickboxing skills, those Muay Thai skills, and transferring them very well over to mixed martial arts. That left kick is absolutely brutal. You know it's coming. And if you ask any legit Muay Thai coach, if you're a southpaw, they will continually tell you to throw the left leg. What's your response to a left hand? A left kick. What's your response to a right hand? A left kick. What do you do if they kick? You left kick them. It was just like, that's what he does. That's his main weapon. And he utilizes it so well, whether it's to the body, to the head. And man, did he have a speed advantage. It was absolutely brutal, that shot. You could see it coming. Dominic Cruz did a great job of saying it was coming, and you could absolutely see that it was coming. And Giga is going to be a very difficult guy to deal with on the feet. There's no doubt about that.
And maybe he'll get the Arnold Allen fight that he is looking for. And he also told us in our fighter meeting that he's been working on some submissions to sort of take advantage of his length, darces and arm triangles and things like, So I do believe he is working to round out his game because, again, those challenges are coming and a lot of dudes going to try to dump you on your ass and not allow you to kick them because you can't really kick when you're on your back.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, he was training back in the gi, like religiously, 5-6 years ago. So I think he saw this transition obviously coming. He knew he had to shore up his defense and his grappling skills. He's been doing that. I'm sure he's ready for it. And I'm excited to see what he can do in that very difficult featherweight division.
So Giga Chikadze was a pretty big betting favorite here against the short notice newcomer Jamie Simmons. And at one point, I think on the night, 7 straight favorites had cashed in. So Ken Flo, you might have heard me say, and our producer Zach Candido gave it to me in my ear, something like favorites at that point dating to UFC 254 had won 29 of their last 31. Right. So stretch of 31 fights and the favorites were 29-2. And then, of course, Tanner, the Bulldozer Bozer, and Thiago Santos lost as betting favorites. So, I look at my phone. I got like 100 tweets telling me that I jinxed the 2 betting favorites. Like, I think it's an incredible number, right? When I get a nugget from a producer, it is my choice whether or not to take that to broadcast. Yes. I ain't trying to jinx your straight wager, but I truly don't. I care as much about that probably as like people who don't like my mustache. I try to say that with all due respect, but it's like, I'm not trying to jinx your bet, but I can assure you, if you're a play-by-play guy and your producer gives you a nugget like that, you're fucking using it. That's all.
John, I would never, ever, ever blame you.
Thank you, Ken.
For fucking up my parlay last night.
Yeah, you needed that Bozer, the final leg to cash your fucking 5-teamer. And I apologize if I hit it. I'll apologize to you, my favorite fighter. Did you happen to see Yan Xiaonan over Claudia Gadelha to kick off the main card? How about Yan Xiaoyan? She's fun to watch, man.
Dude, she really is. She, without a doubt, in my mind, possesses the best sidekick in the whole UFC. A lot of people incorrectly say that you got to use the long-range weapon, which is the form of the jab. The longest weapon is your lead leg, and Yan does that extremely well. She didn't utilize it as much as I would like to see against Claudia Gadelha, but she did a phenomenal job of staying busy and making the right decisions and not necessarily anti-grappling, but doing a good job of stopping the takedowns of Gadelha. Yeah, she's gonna be a handful for anyone in that division. I guarantee you she will fight for the belt, and she just might win it. I love the way that she times her strikes, the way that she moves around. Her footwork is some of the best, I think, in that division, without a doubt.
It's really incredible to think about her getting into a title fight against Zhang Wei Li, China versus China for the strawweight championship. And certainly she's not there yet. Rose Namajunas is going to be next, I believe. But Maybe a winner too, and Yan Xiaonan is fighting for the title, and this is a tough one for Claudia Gadelha. Still has been unable to secure a 3-fight winning streak in the UFC, and this will move her down to the bottom half of that top 10, and we'll see where she goes from here. Alexander Romanov, certainly a heavyweight to be reckoned with, still undefeated, and only getting better. And then I just want to point out before we get to Ramiz Brahimaj's ear and Max Griffin's win, Darren Elkins is 15-6 at 145 pounds in the UFC. So he had lost 4 straight coming in, but 15-6. That's a big win for Darren the Damage Elkins.
It was great to see him get a win, man. I mean, that is one of the most tough individuals you will see in the UFC. The dude's a beast. And I want to get back to Romanov. I think he's a guy to definitely watch at heavyweight. I don't know if you guys must have seen him warming up backstage. Dude doing like one-handed cartwheels and shit. And like, it's just like, that's a heavyweight, guys. Like, it's Kung Fu Panda right there. It was crazy. Do not be fooled by the chub. And I could say that because I got a little chub around my stomach right now. But, man, he is athletic. He can move. Watch out for that dude. And he loves to punch people in the face.
Right, and I don't know if he was 275, 280 when he went in there, but he does cut weight, or so it would appear. And I do think maybe you'll see him lean out. You see a lot of guys who come into the UFC, particularly heavyweights. I remember Jairzinho Rozenstruik when he signed. He said, when I signed with the UFC, the only thing that changed, started doing 3 a days instead of 2 a days, you know. So maybe for Romanov, that's something that's in his future. But yeah, man, what an athlete. And I don't know, man. I think he could be a real problem and ascend pretty quickly. I mean, look how quickly it happened for Tanner Boser getting in a co-main event. So Alexander Romanov, for my money, is the real deal. All right, so nice win for Max Griffin, and that should be the story. And we congratulate Max Payne Griffin, who's a really good dude. But the story is that Ramiz Brahimaj had to go get his ear reattached to his head.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have for me on that?
It was bad, dude. Well, here's the thing, anytime your ear is swollen, it's kind of like wearing these cans on our ears. It sticks out of our head, so it becomes a bigger target, and that means that object can rip off of our head way easier. I think this is the second type of injury we've seen in the last month or something like that. So any of these fighters, as you're training, you can cause this trauma, and forgive me if you guys know what cauliflower ear is, but as you get these hematomas, right, you're going to get the swelling on the inside of the ear. Sometimes it's already hardened, right, and it's fine, but sometimes you get these fresh wounds where this blood is hanging out, this blood is just staying there, and it can rip open just due to the pressure on the skin from that blood and that hematoma. So that was hard to watch. It was brutal, and this is a guy who's coming off a nasty eye surgery as well. That was hard to see, and he was obviously, taking some damage in that fight. That was a nasty one, man.
Yeah, tough for Brahimaj. Really good kid, and I think he'll be back strong. And he's got Saif Saud in his corner, one of my dear friends, so I think he'll be back strong. But yeah, he had that tumor removed behind his left eye, and initially was to make his UFC debut like 501 days ago. Then he was to fight in June, and his opponent tested positive for COVID, so he had to drive back from, or it was, I don't know, he ended up driving back from Vegas to Dallas, didn't get that fight, and then this one goes down like this, and does not make me want to sign up for jiu-jitsu again, I'll tell you that.
And he took, 2 shots to the nuts as well, so it's like,
right.
Come on, give the guy a break, will you?
So, like, when do you get to grapple again? Like, after they stitch that up? Seriously, I mean,
it's gonna be a little while. I think the good news is that in some ways, it's good in that they could drain all the blood and all the swelling out of there.
Nice.
But yeah, that's nice.
Right.
But I think with that ear being stitched up like it is, I think it's gonna be at least a solid month or so where he can do any kind of contact, because again, that ear is gonna be that much more vulnerable to ripping right back open. So he certainly can't do any grappling for at least a month, I would say.
Right. Maybe some headgear. Well, we congratulate Max Griffin and a great tidy 10-fight card. Outstanding. Y'all know 2020 has been a little nuts, but that does not mean you should disregard taking care of yours. Manscaped is on a mission to take care of your manhood with their below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products, and the mission has now gone international, folks. Manscaped has released their products, all of them in the UK, Canada, and Australia. And as many of you know by now, Manscaped has changed the way I go about my hygiene, no longer using that same trimmer on my face and my head as I use down there because I got the Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof technology on this lawnmower, by the way. And Manscaped has also now just released the Crop Care Kit as well, includes all sorts of products, including ball wipes. How about that, Ken Flo? You need some ball wipes? Manscaped has them. Always got to be prepared. Foot deodorant, body wash in that bundle as well. And all these formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free. So you know you are in good hands. And if you're not there yet, now is the time to get in on the Manscaped craze. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/AF. Manscaped.com/AF. No promo code required. Just go to manscaped.com/AF for 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com/AF. All right.
It's the main event challenge. Anik.
The time is most definitely now.
Florian.
I finish fights. I'm going to do everything possible to win.
The main event challenge. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
All right, we now welcome in the Duck, Ian Parker. 136-133 was the lead for Team Anik going into UFC Fight Night. I almost butchered my own fucking last name. It's been a long morning. Big night for the Duck, courtesy of that Glover Teixeira submission win. A lot of sharps out there like Glover Teixeira in that plus 200 range. And in our scoring system, Ian, plus 200 and plus 299 are the same. So we'll talk off the air about how maybe we need to fix that in the future. But we will take it a 5-1 week and now a lead of 141 to 134 for Team Anik. I also want to publicly thank our new intern, Casey Williams, compiling all the numbers for me. Favorites versus underdogs. Sent the detailed document to me and Cody right after the event. So Casey Williams, we appreciate you. And 4 picks today. We're going to have Kenfo lead on the main event only. But we got a lead here, Ian, and this is pretty exciting. Glover Teixeira is a beast. You had to be pretty impressed with that performance, I would think.
Yeah, you know what? I think that thanks for that quack sound, Cody. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know what? This was the time to take a shot on him. You know, with Santos being out for as long as he was, but man, he still carries that power, and one punch could change everything. It happened twice. I thought it was interesting in the first round when he dropped Glover. There was a lot of shots to the back of the head, and I was really worried that that was going to finish it. Glover was smart, didn't even try to stand up, just tried to get it down. And then the third round when he got dropped, I was happy he didn't try to get onto that single because Santos was giving it everything he got to throw those hammer fists to the temple and try to end it. Stayed in his guard, got the sweep, got on top, and Santos was done at that point. Tank was empty, and man, the ageless wonder, Glover Teixeira. And you know what? Good for him. He's the nicest guy ever. He deserves this. Give him the title shot.
And, you know, my memory's not great, and the last thing I'm thinking about with respect during these fights is the main event challenge, but it's amazing the swing, right? If you're thinking about it from a main event challenge perspective, at the beginning of that third round, right, with the Santos knockdown, I mean, it's crazy. But Ken Flo's got some work to do.
Well, dude, and I picked Glover to win by rare naked choke in the second round, so when he had it in the last, 8 seconds, I'm like, oh, man, I got this. And then he gets dropped. I'm like, fuck, Kenny's going to text me in 5 seconds with the hey, I got you on that one. I was not happy. But, yeah, we turned it around. Good for Glover. He's awesome.
All right, UFC Fight Night, Makhachev versus Dos Anjos coming up Saturday night from the UFC Apex. You can watch it on ESPN+. We have 4 main card selections for you today. First up in the middleweight division, Eric Anders, minus 155, the favorite against Antonio Arroyo, who is plus 135. So Arroyo was to face Andreas Michailidis, but in steps Anders on short notice. He's been a real go-to guy for the UFC in that regard. And he has won 2 of 3, Ian, but coming in here off a loss to Chris Jotko in May. You like Arroyo or Anders here at 185 pounds, kid?
Interesting fight for both men at this point in their career. I think this is a better matchup for Anders, as he's going to have to use his athleticism to get this fight to the ground. And if he's on top, I really believe that he could grind out a victory here and finish it. Arroyo's got really nasty leg kicks, but he's kind of been taken down a little bit too easy. And Anders is a guy who can bully his way into that. His cardio concerns me, especially on short notice, as we saw in the Jocko fight. He has to get this fight to the ground without even being redundant. That's the way Anders wins, and that's what got him to the successful part of his career. So I don't love this pick, but I am going to go Anders.
I'm just hoping Anders can make the walk. He was on my corner audio sheet, Ken Flo, to corner Ian Heinisch, I believe. And Heinisch obviously had a COVID-19 test, so who knows what's going to happen. But Kenny, Arroyo, first start of 2020 here. He is a slight underdog against Eric Anders. Your thoughts?
This is a tough one. Obviously, we don't have as much information on Arroyo, but I do think he's got the skills to get it done here against Anders. I think he's going to be better on the ground. I agree that Anders can cause some problems if he's able to get on top, but Anders to me doesn't strike me as this submission wizard or guy who's going to wow you positionally. And I do think that Arroyo, if he's able to land some good kicks, he could hurt Anders and maybe even finish it on the feet. So I'm going to take my chances with Arroyo here.
All right, next up, also in the middleweight division, Julian Marquez. If my research is right, he's back for the first time since July of 2018 and returns as a whopping minus 275 favorite against Saperbeg Safarov, who is plus 235. You got Marquez 1-1 in the UFC. Safarov got arm triangled by Rodolfo Vieira earlier this year. Ken Flo actually is not going to lead on this one, so we'll go to Ian. Marquez, Safarov. Is this price wider than you'd expect, or am I off on that?
No, it's way wider than I expect. I thought it was going to be Marquez, going to be minus 145. It doesn't mean I'm going to go the other way here because in the main event challenge, that's where the favorite kind of plays into your favor a little bit. This is a hard one for me because I don't think Marquez he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. I think he's got a lot of potential in a guy who's very athletic. I think he's also a smart fighter. Man, this is really hard. This is a really challenging one, especially to pick on a Sunday. Not even Monday anymore. We're picking on Sundays now.
That's true.
So that one's hard. So for the moment, I'm going to lean Marquez. Like I said, on a betting standpoint, I don't like the minus 275. I do think his opponent is tough, though. He gave Vieira some problems until that guy was able to get it to the ground and do what he did. But Marquez is also a way better striker in that regard. So, oh, man, this is tough. I won't be surprised if Kenny goes underdog here. For the moment, I'm going to go Marquez, but I'm going to leave that open to changing my mind during the week.
And again, at Anik Florian Pod, we will update you guys if these guys do change their selections. They, of course, reserve the right to do so, but we're trying to get these recap shows out quickly. So as such, we make our handicappers make picks 6 full days before the fights, which is not ideal. Ken Flo, Saperbeg, Safarov, or Julian Marquez for you?
This is a difficult one. I don't think that Julian Marquez takes the easiest path to victory a lot of times. And he puts himself in harm's way, sometimes makes it out, but I don't think he wants to do that against someone like Safarov. Overall, he should be the more skilled fighter. And we've seen Safarov struggle against guys who are good with submissions. I don't think Marquez is necessarily that guy.
Right.
So I'm kind of torn on this one as well. I will go Safarov just because I need some points. But this is a tricky one. And if it stays on the feet, I think Safarov has a good shot.
Yeah, I was certainly off on my projection. And again, you're talking about a layoff that extends a full year beyond what Thiago Santos's was for Julian Marquez. But he's a good dude. Pretty good follow on Instagram as well. All right, co-main event in the welterweight division, Abdul Razak Al Hassan minus 230 versus Chaos Williams plus 190. Ian, I love this co-main event. We will need the round. We will need the method of victory. Chaos Williams is a beast. I understand why he's entrenched as the underdog, but what do you have for us, Ian, on the co-main?
You didn't make it easy on us this week, John.
I don't pick the fights or the lines, but I love you.
No, I love you. I love you too, and I love you more with that outstanding mustache. And your relationship with Arlovsky had me a little jealous last night. Not gonna lie.
Both of our kids went to the same preschool down here in South Florida. So
that's adorable. I didn't know that. I saw Marlon Moraes the other day outside of Riders School. That was cool to see him there. Not wearing a mask though. Didn't like that idea. But anyway, he wasn't. He was like, "Tell Ken Flo to stop making fun of me." He said that, Kenny. He's coming for you.
Man.
Yeah. So. This is a really tough one. I picked against Chaos last time, and Hassan is, guy's been out for a really long time, had all that legal stuff. I'm glad he came out the victor in that situation. His last fight, though, was a lot closer than it should have been, and he was a big favorite out for a while. And I just don't know out of Chaos, other than the Chaos, no pun intended, what we saw in that first fight. Hassan is the more technical fighter from what we've seen overall in his career, right? We've seen that power he brings. We've seen those leg kicks. His cardio didn't look great. He edged it out in his last fight. This is so hard. Kenny and I talk about this all the time. When a guy comes into a fight and we don't know much about him, and then he finishes it so quickly as a huge underdog, we really don't know what we're getting here. and Kenny keeps taking underdogs, which is starting to scare me because if he hits both, then this whole lead this weekend in Glover did nothing for me. Man, how do I not? Fuck, this is really hard.
Well, you keep saying that Abdul-Razak Al-Hassan edged out his last fight, which he did not. He lost to Munir Lazez, and he missed weight.
No. I didn't mean like he edged it. I shouldn't have said it that way. I'm saying like, to me, it didn't feel as the favorite what he was. He performed to that level is what I'm saying. It took him a little bit of time. That's what I meant. I think he
weighed 174 pounds, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yes, you are correct. That's why I'm having so much trouble here. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take Chaos Williams. All right, I'm going to go.
I'm not trying to like sway you. I'm just trying to.
No. For the moment, I am going to do it because, again, Hassan was out for a while, missed weight that last fight. He did not show us that he was that huge favorite. And Chaos showed a lot. And this is the type of fight where we're going to see some chaos here. Give me Chaos. Man, I'm going to say round 2 knockout.
All right, Chaos Williams, round 2 knockout. 10-1 for Chaos Williams, Kenny. 7 straight wins. That included his UFC debut in February when he blasted out Alex Morono. So Abdul-Razak Al-Hassan, 10-2. The Fight Island loss in July was against Munir Lazez. Certainly, Abdul-Razak Al-Hassan has the longer UFC body of work and clearly is getting some respect here from the odds makers. I also think Ken Flo, given that Fight Island experience, having been there and talked to him, missing weight and being on the wrong end of that fight, I think that you, in theory, would get a pretty motivated, good training camp. I'm not saying it produces the desired result, but I think at the very least he's going to make weight. What do you think about the co-main event coming up Saturday?
Well, he better. And I think we'll find out just how motivated he is based on this fight. I do think he's got a very dangerous opponent in Chaos Williams. But I think if things get crazy, if things get chaotic, no
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Can't resist. I think Al-Hassan will have the advantage, actually. I think he's the more powerful guy. And I think Chaos gets a little too wild for my liking. And if you're trading in there, I want the punch that's going to land in a straight line as opposed to the wild hook. So I will go with Al-Hassan here. I think that he should come off that last fight a little bit more humble, but more focused, and also utilizing more variety as opposed to just trying to knock him out, first minute of the fight. Right. I think that he also probably learned a whole lot about pacing himself and how to work and be effective in the clinch.
All right, Abdul-Razak Al-Hassan, do you have him getting a finish here? You got a round?
I'm actually going to go with round 1 knockout.
All right, so as we get to the main event, which Ken Flo will lead, this is the first time since you guys started making picks against each other on a mostly week-to-week basis that you have disagreed on the first 3, which is very exciting for me and the intern Casey Williams. We like discord. We like disagreement. All right, main event, Islam Makhachev, -525. Rafael dos Anjos, +415. We'll need the round, the method of victory, all that stuff. RDA back at 155 pounds, Ken Flo. This is where he won the belt in 2015. 8 fights at welterweight, moving back down. Not an easy weight cut for him. 30th UFC appearance overall, and he's taken on a big favorite in the 18-1 Islam Makhachev. Who wins the main event, Flo, and how do they get it done?
I'm a big fan of RDA. I think he is one of the nicest guys in the sport. I think he is extremely skillful and very dangerous everywhere. However, the UFC is just not giving him any favors in the last few fights. I mean, if you look at the guy, if you were to build an individual who would traditionally give RDA trouble, it's Islam Makhachev, right? I mean, it's a guy who comes from a wrestling background, who's going to pressure you. And the unfortunate thing for RDA is this guy Makhachev can also strike very well, and he's also going to be buoyed and motivated by the loss of Khabib's father, who was a huge mentor for him, who kind of acted as a father for him as well. So getting ready for that camp and getting Khabib ready for his last camp, you don't think he's going to be ready and sharp and ready to rock? My goodness, what a tough fight there for RDA. Yeah. I like Makhachev here. I could see him winning by TKO, maybe late in the fight, like round 4, maybe round 5. But I think it's going to be tough to take out a seasoned veteran like RDA. I'm going to go with decision by Makhachev.
All right, Kemflo likes Islam Makhachev by decision, and it stands to reason that without the presence of Khabib Nurmagomedov, that Islam Makhachev certainly would have already fought in a UFC main event, and who knows, without the Adriano Martins slip-up early in his career, could be a champion right now. Most people fancy him a future champion, Ian. Obviously, he has the respect of the betting public, at least so far, and the odds makers. What do you think about the price on Makhachev, and do you think he will dispose of Rafael dos Anjos?
Before I get into that, I want to give Kenny kudos on that last advice towards Hassan for what he should do moving forward in his career. If these fighters should watch this show sometimes, not even for like the entertainment, but sometimes when Kenny really gives people a blueprint how to bounce back in their career off a loss. So, dude, no, not to blow smoke up your ass because I love you, but that was so well said. How to come back off someone missing weight, coming off a loss, off a long layoff. That's literally perfect. Although I still hope I win and you lose. But otherwise, that was as spot on as it gets. Listen, in regards to this fight with Islam versus RDA, yeah, again, Kenny's right. RDA gets no favors from the UFC. Once he won that belt and dropped it, like, you know what, kid, you had your time in the shine. Now we're going to just use that name as a top-tier gatekeeper in both divisions. We know you're going to come out swinging. You're going to fight hard. And if you win, awesome. We love you. If you lose, awesome. We love you. We're not going to make it easy for you. Islam is a guy that has sky's the limit. He will be a future champion. He is so well-rounded. It's funny, we talk about his wrestling, but we see this elite striker as well. So complete, so well-rounded. And RDA is a very well-rounded fighter too, but on the decline while Islam is on, obviously, heading towards the sky in a good way. More motivation for him is not even necessary. You know, this is just a good name to get on his resume with a very strong win. I'm not in a rush to push him towards a championship fight just yet, even off this win. I want to see him be built up the right way. And again, we talk about this with high-level prospects. Get past RDA. Don't look too far ahead, you know? But then the next step up and get the finish. You know, we see these guys come in and all of a sudden they fight someone like an RDA and they squeak out a decision, but an ugly one. And then it kind of, you think about it. I hate to bring up Tanner Boser. We were so big on him and what he did last night, even though Kenny and I both agree we thought he won, that wasn't the guy that we were saying is going to fight for a title anytime soon. Just no way. And that's okay also. It's early in his career, but these are the type of things that we talk about. You get that new name on the resume and you fall short, whether it's a boring win or a controversial loss. So in that regard, I think Islam is going to win. I'm going to go TKO round 4. I do think the pressure, RDA does not do well with that. He doesn't do well when a guy pushes him and bullies him against the cage. And I love how Islam comes off that cage, show off the clinch with those elbows and kicks. So I like this kid a lot. I think he's going to win.
All right, both guys like the chalky selection, Islam Makhachev in that minus 500 range to get it done in the main event against Rafael dos Anjos. You can see it on ESPN+. If you want more content from Ian Parker, God love you, at Ian Parker MMA on social media. Big one next week on pay-per-view, UFC 255, my friend. We will talk to you then. Thank you so much.
You got it, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. The main card comes your way earlier than it did last week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday night. All right, one thing left to do. Actually, a couple orders of business. I think you might like the pronunciation of the week, but pick to click time. Let's go.
Time now for the pick to click. The pick to click.
All I have to do is bet on the winner, and I'll never lose.
The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
All right, NFL picks for me and Cody Merrow coming up in a minute. But first, I want to do a pronunciation of the week because, Ken Flo, I've been at this for 9 years with the UFC, and certainly I was diving into pronunciation guides at ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut prior. But this name of this individual who is fighting in the main event on Dana White's Contender Series this Tuesday night, singularly, is the hardest name that I have had to pronounce. So I have now pronounced it about 100 times. I filled in on Dana White's Contender Series last Tuesday in a pinch, or last Wednesday. So I had to say this name looking ahead. So I now know how to say this name. But I want our listeners to hear this file, and I certainly want to hear how our executive producer — what's your middle name, Cody, by the way?
Alexander.
I want to hear how Cody Alexander Merrow pronounces this Polish fighter's name. So have at it, Cody.
Well, Boston shout out there. My initials are Cam on purpose for Cam Neely. So.
That's right. That's right. Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go Cam Newton, going Cam Neely. You're fucking legend.
Get out of here. So I thought this was a typo when John sent this to me. This is a ridiculous name.
Just wait, Flo. Just wait. You're the language guy, Kenny. Just fucking wait.
Oh,
I know it was Polish, so I think it's Mariusz Szajeszkiewicz.
Mariusz, the Iron Pole, Książkiewicz.
One more time.
Mariusz, the Iron Pole, Książkiewicz.
So it sounded a little bit quieter than I think our audio level, but it is Mariusz Książkiewicz, right? I mean, Kenflo, can you say that?
No, I can't.
I don't know how you call a fight with, a nice jab by Książkiewicz, right? And Polish fighters, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, right? We do her name as well as we can. But a lot of Polish fighters will say, with respect, you English-speaking Americans can't pronounce Polish names. Like, you physically, your mouth cannot properly do the syllables. I've said this 100 times. It still don't sound good.
Well, and here's the thing, though. I take this seriously. I went and I looked at where he was from. I looked at all of the information. He's from Canada, so how am I supposed to say a Canadian Polish guy's name that looks like that? I just wanted to add A to the end of it, and I was like, that's going to be it.
What are you talking about?
Can you play that file again and maybe a little louder if possible? Is that an option?
Yeah, I got it.
I got to hear it again.
Mariusz, the Iron Pole, Książkiewicz.
Książkiewicz.
Mariusz, the Iron Pole, Książkiewicz.
Książkiewicz. Wow.
I mean, you're not going to keep calling him the Iron Pole. I guess you could do Mariusz. I think a lot of our analysts, when they can't do the surname, they'll just go first name. So I would probably go Mariusz. But with the double SH sound, Książkiewicz. What in the actual fuck? I hope they don't call me to do Dana White's Contender Series next week. All right, NFL picks. I had the Buffalo Bills as one of my picks last week, laying 3.5. They won by 3. So I went 1-1 on the week. I'm 5-4. Cody Merrow suffered a couple bad beats. I'm not going to lie to you folks, but you're 2-6-1. You've got some serious work to do. Time is running out. Week 9 is upon us, Cody Merrow. Who do you have on the gridiron this Sunday?
Well, so I have something to prove on this Sunday, and so do the Ravens coming into Indianapolis. They're 3-0 when they go on the road, and I was honestly shocked to see that they were -1. So, John, I got to go with the value here. I think they pull it off today. Ravens -1, but some books have it as an underdog. They're 7-1 in their last 8 as underdogs. So give me the Ravens -1, and it really can't get much worse. So what does it even matter?
No, you're right. Short price. You're just picking a winner. I know Phillip Rivers has had a good year, but I do think Lamar Jackson, big quarterback advantage for me with Baltimore. But I don't know. I could see Indianapolis winning that game, so I'll probably lay off. But I understand why you like Baltimore. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know who's playing quarterback today. It's not Gardner Minshew. But I'm taking the Jags +7. You know why? Because Romeo Crennel's Houston Texans are coming in there, and the Houston Texans should not be favored by a touchdown against any National Football League outfit on the road. So Jaguars +7 for me. If you got the 7.5 earlier in the week, power fucking to you. All right, we got to get on out of here. I got to put in some time with my children. Thanks for everybody listening and chiming in on the podcast. Don't forget, remember the show with Bilal Muhammad and Jason Anik on the Anik and Florian Podcast YouTube channel coming up this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For my favorite fighter, I mean, was there any doubt? Kenny Florian, I'm John Anik. So long for now. Don't text and drive. Congratulations to the President-elect Joe Biden. Wear a mask if you think it helps. I certainly do. And we'll talk to you next Monday. Until then, yo fucking later.